Hello and welcome back to Round the Table, slow TV radio from the meeting point, broadcasting not only to Bilbao but throughout the world. Hello again and welcome back to Round the Table, and in this week's episode we are talking about the topic of advice, and in particular advice for learning English. Later on, we do have a monologue from our celebrity guest speaker talking about advice more in general terms. That's from our celebrity guest speaker who's flown in specially all the way from Hollywood to record this.
Oh, who's that celebrity guest speaker then?
Well, unfortunately, due to legal reasons, I'm afraid we're not allowed to give away his identity, though many people have asked about the identity of the celebrity guest speaker, but unfortunately he is under contract with a major Hollywood film company, and he's really doing the recording for us as a favour. But then I do have contacts in high places, and he owed me a favour because I did get him that part in that big film a few years ago. So anyway, he's coming up later. So first of all, let's talk about advice, but specifically, to begin with, the grammar of the word advice. First thing you have to know is uncountable, which means you cannot have a singular, you cannot have an advice, and you cannot have a plural. So there is no advices, okay? It's just advice. You can say some advice. If someone says, I'm going to give you some advice, it might only be one. If they say, I'm going to give you some advice, don't take up smoking. Okay? Don't wait for another piece of advice. Some advice is not plural necessarily.
Yeah.
If you really want to make a singular, you can have a piece of advice. So this word advice is very similar to words like news or information. Like information, you can't have informations, you have to have a piece of information if you want to make it singular. And the same with furniture. You can say they have nice furniture in their house, but you don't look at the sofa and say that is a nice furniture. You can't have a furniture. Yeah.
So furniture is like more general thing.
Yeah. So it's another of these strange, uncountable words. You don't have a singular, you don't really have a plural. They're strange words, but they're ones to look out for because they're very easy to make mistakes with.
Yeah, I know.
The other thing to notice is there is this word advise. When it's got the S in it, that is the verb form. So advice, listen to the C in advice, is like that. But the verb is advise, like that. That is correct. So let's talk about advice for learning English. What do you think is the most important thing about learning English? Number one rule.
Well, for me, it's just to be constant, to do a bit every day.
Yeah.
Have it in your mind, because I find that some people, it takes a little bit, maybe at the beginning of the class. By the end of it, they get better, more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then if they don't do anything during the week, it's like a start again.
Yeah. Do you think it ties in with that thing we did a while ago on habits?
Yeah.
When we were talking about routines and habits,
Yeah.
and just setting aside this part of the day, I will do this little thing.
Yeah, but they don't need to do like 1 hour or anything. Just 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Yeah.
And I guess, for example, if you are learning some vocabulary about food, when you go to the supermarket and you buy things, maybe you can think, oh, how would I say this in English?
Yeah.
You don't have to sit down in front of the computer.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, how would I spell this word in English? And you do it in your mind. You know what I mean?
So you have
little things.
Your internal monologue.
Yeah.
Having imaginary conversations with people and things like
because we do that all the time in our own language.
We do, yeah.
Well, then
I do it far too much. So you're saying you don't have to do like an hour, you don't have to set an hour aside. But for me, I think not just with learning a language, but with doing anything in life, as far as I'm concerned. It's just starting. And if you say, like, I'm going to do 10 minutes, you might start with that a small goal, say, I'm going to do 10 minutes, and then maybe you do an hour.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
I think it's starting to do something, and it's the beginning is the biggest step, isn't it? I always find.
Yeah.
So doing things regularly and just getting out there and doing things, that's the most important, yes. So, yes, being constant is probably the most important. A little and often.
What about reading and listening to podcasts?
Well, with reading, I think one of the biggest problems is that people set their sights too high, and people try to get a piece of literature, for example.
Yeah.
And with English literature, you can't read it unless you've got a very good level. You need a very high level, because literature tends to have a lot of vocabulary.
Yeah.
And it's vocabulary that we don't normally use in conversations. So there are lots of words that are literary words.
Yeah.
And you can find... I've found books in the second-hand bookshop in Bilbao.
Mm-hmm.
You can find English books in there. And you can see that someone's bought the book thinking they're going to read this book. And all of the words are underlined, and they got little pencil translations written in the margins and things like that. And it's full of these little translations penciled in. And that's like the first 3 or 4 pages, and then it stops.
Yeah.
So they've realised this is impossible to read. So find easy things. I think that's number one rule for reading. Find easy things, and it doesn't matter if it's a book for children. It doesn't matter, so long as you can read it at a fairly reasonable speed. You can't read at the same speed as in your first language, but if you can read at a reasonable speed, if you find new vocabulary, that's good. But if every other word is new vocabulary, then it's just impossible to read. So with reading, you can find graded readers. You can find these books that are specifically for people studying the language.
Yeah, that's true.
Though if you want to watch films and TV series, it's very difficult to find something that's specifically for learners. I think there might be people that have done things on the internet. There might be something simplified scenarios and things like that. I don't know if anyone's ever made a complete film for language learners, but basically TV series and films are made for native speakers, aren't they?
Yeah, and you find like people always, you want to learn English? What's this film? Or what's English series? But like you said, I don't think it's a very good idea. At least not if you're starting.
No. Some people have recommended certain series because of the pronunciation. Like Downton Abbey and The Crown, apparently, because it's all about royalty. They have a very clear, precise way of speaking English.
Yeah.
But I've also spoken to someone who told me they watched Peaky Blinders in the original language.
Yeah.
And that sort of gangs in Birmingham in the 1920s. And apparently it's impossible to understand because the accent is so strong. So I think if you look for things in the original language, you have to realise that there are some pronunciations which are very, very difficult to follow.
Yeah.
And of course all the slang terms as well. So if you're watching something about like gangs and things like that in working class areas, they're going to have a lot of language which is non-standard slangs and things like that.
You remember when we used to watch CSI?
Yeah.
And then CSI Las Vegas wasn't very clear, was it?
Well, I got accustomed to watching it in Spanish. That's why. And then when I eventually saw it in English, I didn't understand it. They didn't speak very clearly. They were mumbling all their words. They were talking like that. And it was really difficult. At least in Spanish, at least they said it clearly, even if it was in a different language for me. Their pronunciation seemed to be better.
I find that funny.
So films and series and that kind of thing, they're kind of useful. But again, you need a good level. Oh, and turn the subtitles off.
Oh, yeah.
If you have subtitles, you improve your reading.
Yeah.
You don't improve your listening. So, oh, and the advantage is if you're watching things on internet and that, you can rewind and you can watch scenes a few times, or you can watch it in your language and then watch it in the second language, or do things like that.
Yeah.
There's also listening podcasts, and there's so much stuff on the internet. The BBC iPlayer is always good. Lots and lots of documentaries. Again, usually the presenters have quite a clear standard form of pronunciation. Occasionally they might interview someone who's a farmer or a fisherman, and obviously their pronunciation is a bit different. And they do have, because BBC goes around the world, you do get like BBC India or BBC Nigeria and things like that, and their pronunciation is going to be quite different. But there are so many programs there that if you don't understand it, find another program. There are millions of them there to listen to.
And then find things you like listening to. If you like fishing, then go and find something related to fishing, and then start there. Like
There's some fantastic fishing programs if you like fishing. And all the car programs. I know people that just learn English from watching things about cars.
Yeah, wow.
Because they just love cars and they'll watch it in any language. The one thing you can't practice at home, you can study grammar on your own. You can study your vocabulary. You can listen to things. You can watch movies. You can read. But what about the most important part? Speaking.
Yeah.
Speaking. How can you improve your speaking?
I know a
What's
place
that?
where you can go and practice your speaking.
Where might that be?
There's a place in Bilbao.
Yeah? Tell me more.
It's called the Meeting Point.
The Meeting Point in Bilbao. Yes, come and join us at the Meeting Point. We have fascinating conversations every week, just like this, with small groups of about 6 people. Interesting topics every week. But if you don't want to come to the Meeting Point, you just have to find a tourist in the street.
Yeah, I always tell them, go and talk to the tourists.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
And tourists will love it. Don't forget, you represent your city, you represent your country, and those tourists will go back to wherever they come from and say, oh, the people in Bilbao are... fill in your own adjective. And if you go and talk to them, they go back to wherever they come from and say, oh, people in Bilbao, they're really friendly, they're so polite, they're so lovely.
Yeah.
So it's your responsibility to impress the tourists. And now it's time for a monologue on more general advice from the unknown, the mysterious, celebrity guest speaker.
People love giving advice. It seems to come naturally to us, sometimes too naturally. Whether it's about relationships, careers, or the best way to boil an egg, advice often appears even when no one has asked for it. And, while it's not always welcome, the impulse behind it runs deep. It's more than a habit. It's part of what makes us human. Older people, in particular, feel the urge to share what they've learned with younger generations. They've seen more, made more mistakes, and survived more challenges. So passing on their experience feels like both a duty and a pleasure. This tendency isn't new. It has been essential for human survival. Before books, schools, or the internet, knowledge had to be transmitted directly from one person to another. The stories, warnings, and lessons that elders shared helped younger members of a group avoid danger and make better decisions. Communities that communicated well were more likely to thrive. there's a clear evolutionary advantage in this communication of knowledge. Humans are social animals, and our ability to cooperate and learn from one another is one of our greatest strengths. A hunter who discovered a safe source of food, or a parent who learned how to soothe a crying baby, could pass that information on, increasing the chances of survival for the entire group. This sharing of wisdom helped build stronger families, safer communities, and ultimately more successful societies. Even today, this instinct is alive and well. New mothers are often surrounded by advice from their parents, friends, and neighbors, sometimes overwhelming, but usually well-intentioned. People who take up gardening, fishing, or any new activity often discover a whole network of helpers eager to share what they've learned. Much of this advice may be simple or even repetitive, but it reflects a timeless human impulse to guide, to teach, and to help others succeed. Giving advice, then, is more than just talking. It's part of our social fabric. It connects generations, spreads experience, and keeps the flow of human knowledge alive.
So, that was very interesting, wasn't it? Thank you very much, celebrity guest speaker. And now I've got something that, I don't think it's amazing, but it is quite interesting. Here's something I discovered. I was thinking about this herb. There's a herb that you can use in cooking. I don't use it much. People normally use sage when they stuff a chicken. The things that go... Sage and onion is a particular flavour of stuffing. They put it inside the roast chicken. I've never used much sage, but I thought this is a very interesting word because a sage is like a wise man, an older person that has lots of wisdom and information and clever things they can tell us. They're called sages. And I thought, why is this person called a sage and this herb is called sage? And then I looked at a translation of the herb, and in Spanish it's called sabia, or sometimes sabio, apparently. Apparently it can be male or female. And I thought, well, that means like wisdom or wise, doesn't it?
Yes, a wise person too, yeah.
So I thought, why is a herb wise? I thought this is very strange. So I started looking into the origins of it. The origin of our English word sage comes from the Latin word sapere, which means to taste or know. And then I think if it means taste or know, then in Spanish you've got saber, to know, but you've also got sabor, meaning taste. And apparently both of those words come from the same Latin root, because the idea is that to be able to differentiate between different flavours of things is similar to being able to differentiate between good and bad and truth and lies and things like that. So back in the old Latin days, it was all the same thing. Wisdom of flavours. So it all comes from the same thing. So this sapere is why we are Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
Like the wise man or whatever that means. We have intelligence, so we're sapiens. Yeah? And we also have savour. When you enjoy, especially taste, you savour it. You can also savour the moment, but usually it's for flavours. And we have this word insipid, when something has no flavour, or it's very sort of watery and not very nice, boring flavour. So that comes from the same root, which was rather interesting. And that is my quite interesting fact of the week. I have another thing here, a word origin thing, because we were looking at the word. It appeared in a text that we were looking at in the book. It had the word philander, philanderers. And a philanderer is a man who has lots of relationships, let's say. And somebody mentioned philanthropists. And I was thinking philanderers, philanthropists. Those words sound very similar, but they seem to be quite different things. So I checked the origin of it. Phil, obviously, is to love something. That's why an Anglophile is someone who loves all things English. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And all the other philes are things that like and love things. So philander, the ander bit, is man. So originally it was someone who loved a man. So it would really be describing a woman, normally. But then later on, apparently by the 17th century, or was it the 18th century, to philander became the man who was a lover. Oh, so it was like not loving a man, but a lover man sort of thing. It sort of changed its meaning a bit. So it took on the more modern context of a man who enjoyed the sexual company of others. Whereas philanthropy, this anthropy, we have that in other words like anthropomorphic and things like that. Yeah. But that's not man, that's like mankind or humanity. So a philanthropist loves his fellow man rather than an individual, more like mankind. Yeah. So that's why philanthropists give money and they start charities and they do that kind of thing. Yeah. So that is why you have philanderers and philanthropists. There you go. Interesting facts.
Very interesting.
This is a joke somebody told me. Friday morning joke. So somebody went into the hairdressers or the barbers, yeah? Mm-hmm. And the barber said, "How do you want your hair cut?" And the man said, "In silence, please." That's quite funny, isn't it? Yeah. Quite a good joke. Thank you very much for that joke, that contribution there. So, what else do we have today? I've got some pronunciation things, but I think I'll be saving those for next week. Here's a strange thing that people say, especially children, on long car journeys. Yeah, you sit in the car and you say to your parents, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Which is a very strange thing to say, isn't it? Because
obviously not.
You can't be there, can you? We must be here. And then when you arrive home, and your parents go, "We are here." Of course we're here. We are always here, and we can never be there. Why do we say that? So that's all we have time for this week. We must get on with our weekend. Hope you enjoyed that. Next week's topic of conversation in class is success and failure. And it's going to be a very good conversation. It might even be better than this week's conversation, which was pretty good, I must say. Very high quality conversations we had in class this week.
Very good.
But I'm sure next week will be even better. So, look forward to seeing you all in class next week. And if you're not in class, tune into the podcast next weekend. So, have a good week. Till next week. Bye.
Bye.